This is the Rebel Author Podcast, where we talk about books, business, and occasionally bad words. Hello, Rebels, and welcome to episode 89 of the Rebel Author Podcast. Today, I'm talking to Ginnie Carmichael all about how to build and create an author website. But first, to last week's question, which was, what would you call your memoir if you ever wrote one? First in, Rishi said she would call it But I Smile Anyway. Linda said, I loved every second of this episode. I think I'd called my memoir Tango with the Fuck-Ups or something like that. Lita loved Linda's dance theme. The memoir from my childhood would be Waltz with Weirdos. I love that. Erin McKnight said, such an interesting episode. I absolutely loved it. I have to say mine would be titled No Regrets. While things have not exactly turned out the way I imagined, I can honestly say I would not change them. I'm happy with the person I am, and if I change some sense of what made me this way, that may not be the case. Kerry Hardisky said, I think my title would be All the Times I Pretended to Have My Shit Together, or How I Learned to Stop Giving a Fuck About Other People's Opinions. I love that. How rebellious of you. Victoria L.K. Williams said, this is easy. My cover creator decided a couple of years ago I should write one and gifted me a cover. She used a picture of my front entry where I write. Someday I might even write it. And she has shared the cover in the Rebel Author Facebook group, and it says The Enigmatic Garden, which I love. Deb Jensen said A for effort, and Amber said trial and error, mostly error. Brilliant. I love these titles. They proper gave me a giggle. Okay, so this week's question is, have you got an author website, and how did you find the process of setting it up? All right. Controversially this week, there is no book recommendation. However, I am recommending my own course. So the Anatomy of Prose, the Senses course. And the reason I'm recommending this is because S.W. Miller gave me a very lovely testimonial review on the Thinkific website. And I thought I would share it with you. So S.W. Miller says, the Anatomy of Prose, the Senses, was a worthwhile investment and completely blew my mind. I'll never think about or write about the senses in the same way again. If you want to learn how to deepen your descriptions, power up your prose, and supercharge your sensory imagery, then you need to buy this course right now. From filtering to foreshadowing and subversion to the importance of smell sense, Sasha's got you covered. As for those of you thinking I've tried video courses and they don't work for me, no excuses. Don't like video? Download the audio. Prefer to read? Then get the transcripts. Sasha's work never disappoints, and I can't recommend this course highly enough, which just made my day. I thought that was a lovely review, and thank you so much for taking the time to review it. And if you guys would like to do the course, then you can. I will leave a link in the show notes, or you can visit sashablack.thinkific.com/courses/senses. I think there is a quicker URL, which might be sashablack.co.uk/senses. Yes, but I will leave the link in the show notes. All right, so in personal updates then, right, we are in June. If you want a chance at being included in the Rebel Author Diaries Anthology, then the submission window is closing this month. You only have a couple of weeks left to get your stories in. So the closing date is the 30th of June, and that will be the 30th of June my time in the UK. So if you don't get your story in, you aren't going to have a chance of being involved in the anthology. So yes, if you want to be part of it, please, please, please do submit your stories. I cannot wait to read them all. Right, so in personal news this week, this has been half-term week, so sort of been a bit of this, that, and here, there, and everywhere. I'm trying to think what I did. I've been working on like the resource downloads for side characters and some of the marketing side. I got the pre-order up. Oh yes, That little old chestnut. Okay, so the pre-order for 8 Steps to Side Characters, How to Craft Supporting Roles with Intention, Purpose and Power is live. Now, I say it's live, and I would say 3/4 of the pre-orders are live. So if you read on Kindle, then it's live on Amazon. If you read on iBooks, it's live on Apple. I believe you can now pre-order through Overdrive and whatnot. What is not live is Kobo, and what else is not live? The paperback pre-order is not live either. The reason for that is, and I think Google Play isn't live. The reason for that is I need a file, and I'm just waiting a little bit before I put the files up, because I want to make sure they're as close to done as possible. So, because basically last time with the Anatomy of Prose, I had to keep uploading new files, and Ingram locks out at some point, and I just want to make sure I upload as close to finished file for the paperback so that none go out with errors. There was an error with contents pages last year. So yeah, I just want to make sure. So it's a bit of a pain for people who want the paperback, but it is coming. I am releasing on the 29th of July, so there's only a couple of months to wait. So I have been working on all of that in the background. This coming week, I will be recording with the audiobook. That I will be getting that done by the end of June. So then that will probably be out in, July or August time. What else have I been doing? Basically, I'm trying to get as much of the launch stuff done, I would say, before the middle of June, so that when my son finishes school on the 20th of July, I can take a bit of time. I will obviously have to do the launch, but then I'm taking the first 2 weeks off of August. So I really am buckling down and just quite frantic at the moment, but in order to have some time off after that. And also I'm really excited to go back to fiction. I really want to get Trey and Sirens done and published this year, which they will be absolutely done. It's hard to juggle both launching all the launch marketing when it's you on your own and you're doing it all by yourself, and so that's one mindset or one headspace, and then to switch hats and then to go back to being creative, I find that quite difficult. I like to just do the whole thing and then get it done and move on to the next project. So yeah, I'm finding that juggle quite difficult, but I'm going to try and read Victor, which is the second book in the series, this week, because I read the first one a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm going to read the second one. And I've been putting off reading it because I need to read it right before I start editing Trey, so that it's as fresh as possible. So yeah, I am very excited about all of these things. And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else going on. I don't think so. I'm just busy in the background trying to do launch stuff. I've got a couple of speaking gigs coming up, which I'm sure I'll talk about later. I'm trying not to book anymore because they take up quite a lot of time. I do love them. I love engaging and getting to speak kind of live and have people in the room and talk to them afterwards and stuff. But also it does take up time, and when there's only one of you and you're trying to just publish books, it's hard to do all of those other things. But I love doing those other things, and so I refuse to give them up. And so thus I shall just continue to be rammed all of the time. I have also been working on the masterclass. I think I mentioned this last week. I'm going to do a masterclass, live teaching masterclass for side characters. I had originally intended to do it launch week, but I have actually now decided I'm going to be doing it in September. And the reason for that is it's manic running up to the launch, and I just don't need to add any more ridiculous amounts of pressure on me. And if I want time off with my son, then I cannot do the masterclass in August. So I'm going to let the book be out for a month, and then I'm going to have the masterclass in September, early September, when the kids go back to school, because then I'll have more time and headspace and all of that good stuff. And then you'll get the best me as well. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I will be setting up the pre-order though in advance for that. Pre-order, the purchase link, whatever. for that. So I would say if it's not done next week, it will be the week after. So I'll have a finalised date for that. And like I said before, it will be, quite not, it won't be very much money. So yeah, hopefully, you'll find that useful. You'll get an hour session from me and then a Q&A afterwards where you can ask me all of the questions. So yeah, I'm really excited about that as well. I'm actually kind of giddy excited about that too. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to do it. I can't wait because I'm a little bit scared as well. So like, I think it will be, I don't know. I like doing things that make me scared. I'm like a sicko. I don't know why I like that. But anyway, so I reckon that's my update for this week. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I'm very excited. Next week, as you hear this, I will be halfway through a competition intensive. So I don't know if I talk about it that much on this podcast. I know I talk about it a lot on the Next Level Authors podcast, but competition is my number one strength, like in terms of Clifton strengths. And there's an intensive course next week. So I'm learning all about that, which is going to be super fun. And then, so as this goes out, this will be going out on the 9th of June. It's Friday the 4th of June right now. But as this goes live on the 9th of June, the following week will be my next Rebel Author Patreon live. We do poison and prose, writing, questions, giggling, general support and stuff. So that's the 16th of June. So if you want to be part of that, then head on over to patreon.com/Sasha Black. And yeah, you can find out more about that there. Alrighty, so Rebel of the Week this week is Eden Collier. Eden says, when I was 20, I attended my first large-scale Pride event in London. It was the day after same-sex marriage had been made legal in the US across all 50 states, and I wanted to go and watch this historic moment in person. The atmosphere was electric. I've never really experienced anything like it before or since. I was sitting outside a coffee shop on Baker Street where I ended up chatting to one of the float managers. I told them it was my first big Pride, and at this they told me that they needed a few more people at the front of the parade to wave the flags, and would I be up for it? Well, 5 minutes later I was at the front of the London Pride Parade with nothing but open road between me and Whitehall. It was such a magical experience and I would do it again in a heartbeat. That is so cool. I can't believe we got to lead the whole of the Pride event in London. That is fantastic. What a cheeky rebellion. As I said last week, we are very low on rebel rebellions, author rebellions, Rebel of the Week, whatever, you know what I mean. So yes, please do send me in your stories. If you would like to be a Rebel of the Week, then you can by emailing me any kind of rebellion, big, small, or something in between. You can email your rebel story to rebelauthorpodcast@gmail.com, or you can Instagram me at Sasha Black Author. No new patrons this week, but a whopping, stonking, enormous thank you to all of my existing patrons. If you would like to get early access to all of the episodes, as well as bonus content, and join me for the live Poison and Prose sessions, then you can from as little as $2 a month by visiting patreon.com/Sasha Black. This week's episode is sponsored by Pro Writing Aid. I have personally been using Pro Writing Aid on and off for the last few weeks now, as it is an editing software and I personally find it absolutely amazing. I use it as my last line of defense and as a grammar checker, style editor and writing mentor before I shop my manuscripts off to my editor. Pro Writing Aid is about more than just finding grammar mistakes. It helps you learn good writing techniques as well. It has 20 different writing reports that make suggestions and then offer detailed explanations. They also have videos and even quizzes to help you understand the reasoning behind their suggestions. Writing can be grammatically perfect but still feel awkward and clumsy. Pro Writing Aid searches out elements like repetitiveness, vague wording, sentence length variation, overdependence on noun, adverbs, passive voice, overcomplicated sentence constructions, and so much more. Of course, ProWriting Aid will never replace a human editor. Rather, it helps you to self-edit to a deeper level so that when you send it off to an editor, they will be able to focus on the meat of your writing and not spend their time fixing basic writing issues. There is a link in the show notes for you to find out more about ProWriting Aid, and I highly recommend that you do. And there's also a Rebel discount code in the show notes as well. So please do yourself a favour and go and check it out. As Ginny runs a done-for-you website service, she has very kindly offered you a discount if you mention the Rebel Author podcast interview when you head on over to her website. So if you want to find out more information about her done-for-you website service, then you can by going into the show notes and clicking through to her information. And please don't forget to mention this podcast so that you can get your lovely discount. All right, enough from me. Let's get on with the interview. Hello and welcome to the Rebel Author podcast. Today I am joined by Ginnie Carmichael. Ginnie is the founder of Anthology, a platform that offers a new way for authors to build their websites. After seeing so many authors ask questions about how to do this or that with their websites and getting frustrated with technology, she knew she could do something about it. She built Anthology with the sole goal of making websites simple for authors. When she's not working on Anthology, Ginnie loves helping authors with their tech problems in various groups and finding new books to read along the way. Hello and welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I am absolutely delighted to be talking to you. Before we dive into the questions, what kind of books do you like to find?
Well, right now I'm really into kind of young adult fantasy books. They're kind of my thing. I didn't read them as a teenager. I'm reading them as an adult now. But yeah, that's what I've been into lately.
Oh, well, seeing as that is like my genre that I adore, any recommendations? What have you loved recently?
The Glass of Thrones series by Sarah
J. Maas.
J. Maas or something?
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I've loved that one.
I think I have the first one of that series on my shelf somewhere. Actually, I think it's literally right here, right behind me. But nice. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, it literally is. I do have it on my shelf to read. I'm always funny with Sarah J. Maas because she gets hyped so much. And so I'm always like, because it's like the thing that everybody talks about. So I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm always worried I'm going to like be disappointed because, you know, you get the hype and then it either is or isn't as good as you think, or sometimes it's even better. But anyway, all right, enough about Sarah J. Maas. Tell everyone a little bit about you and how you came to where you are today.
Yeah, so I started, my journey 7 years ago by deciding after I graduated that I was going to move to Costa Rica with my boyfriend instead of taking a full-time job, like what was expected of me. So yeah, I moved to Costa Rica and then my boyfriend had an online job. I didn't, so I needed to make money. So yeah, I first started as a romance author, actually. I published a few books and it was doing okay, I guess. But unfortunately, I realized that it wasn't for me because I would spend like an hour writing and then I would just be wiped, completely wiped. And then all I would do is tweak my website instead. So then I realized that maybe, okay, being an author is not for me. I'm spending way more time on websites. So maybe I'm going to like do something about that a little bit. So then I became a travel blogger a little bit. So I started a travel blog where I kind of put like all of our travels in there. So like, yeah, me and my boyfriend kept moving around. We did Costa Rica, Mexico, Croatia, Greece, Bulgaria, like we traveled a lot. And yeah, so I started a travel blog. And then again, I kind of felt like it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But having that blog really helped me kind of hone my web design skills a little bit. So then I started a web design business. Like I decided like that's what I like, that's what I'm gonna do. So I started doing that for some one-on-one clients. Then as I got better at that, I decided to actually start making some themes for bloggers. So instead of working one-on-one, I would create like a product that I could sell like so many times. Yeah, just kind of make like some income that wasn't attached to the hours that I worked. So I could take time off if I wanted. And then when I got really good at that, which is about like a year ago, that's when I decided to create Novelly, which is kind of its own platform for authors where they can come just bring their books. And I set up all the website stuff for them.
One of the things that I would love to be able to do more is travel, but we have a 7-year-old who's busy shouting from upstairs who should be asleep. And so it makes traveling difficult because obviously we have to be here for term time. But one of the reasons that I wanted this particular like business and career was that flexibility. So I'd love to be in a position like in a couple of years to be able to take him every summer holiday to a different country, like for 6 weeks. And, you know, there's only so much of a country you can really absorb when you're there for only 2 weeks, like in a short holiday. And obviously you can get a lot, but not as much as like really living and breathing there. And I'm like, well, we have this 6-week block in the summer holidays, and I want to I want to be in a position to take advantage of that. Funny you mentioned Costa Rica. You're not there anymore, are you?
No, right now I live in BC in Canada. We're done traveling. Okay. The pandemic kind of like didn't help. So
my one of my really good friends, Chris, lives in Costa Rica, so that's why I was like, oh, Costa Rica, like I have friends there too. Okay, so I know you've covered it a little bit, but would you like to tell everyone about the service that you actually provide?
Yeah, for sure. So I decided to kind of try to bridge the gap between authors having to hire a custom web designer that costs, like $2,000 and higher prices, and doing it all themselves. So the service that I provide includes like everything that you need to get your website set up. It includes hosting, it includes emails. I'll help you integrate your newsletter. I'll help you, and like if you have any like tech issues, like I'm there for you. Like I'll help you set up your contact form. Like the whole website is optimized for authors. Like I built it from scratch myself. So everything is made for authors. You just kind of bring your book, add them like on the back end of the website, and then they'll pop up everywhere they need to go. So like unlike a website like Squarespace or Wix or even your own website where you'll create like a page, put your cover, your blurb, then you have to go to your homepage and edit your homepage too, and then your series page manually. Like you just put it once and then it goes everywhere. And like I've thought a lot about like, when a reader lands on your website, what do they want to see? So like I've optimized like the homepage for that and like everything to kind of make sure like all the information that a reader wants is right there. And I offer all of that to the prices start at $29 a month. So I think that's very affordable. Basically, I'm doing all of that for you with the gamble that you will stay for long enough that I will make my money back, basically. So
I think that's amazing, because I tell you the amount of hours I spent trying to get my fucking website to work properly, and then God forbid something goes wrong and it's, oh my God, it is horrendous. The only reason I keep my website the way it is because like it's been that way for like 8-9 years. So but I tell you, if I was starting out now, I would absolutely have somebody else just do it for me. Okay, so like what like everybody talks about how important having a website is, and as an author you need a location for readers to find out stuff about you, but you don't have to have like an all singing, all dancing, like fancy pants thing. So like what is the minimum viable requirement for an author like today for their website?
The first thing that I would start with for sure is getting a domain name, because they're only like $10 a year. It's really not like a big investment, and it will secure that domain name for you, for your website, but also for your emails. It's really annoying when you're trying to find like your domain name like 3 years later and it's like taken. Somebody else is selling it for like $2,000 and you can't like buy it anymore. So if you're just starting, like just buy your domain name now for your pen name. If your domain name is taken, you can always do like pennameauthor.com or something like that. Then once you have that domain name, you can also set up your email, a custom email address, which will be really useful for your newsletter. If you're setting up a newsletter, you'll also need that to kind of be a bit more less like spammy looking to newsletter softwares. Then once you have that domain name, I'd say you can set up like a website pretty much anywhere. You could set it up on Wix, you can set it up on Squarespace, you can learn WordPress if you want to. You don't need anything like super complex, like just like show the books that you've written, show like a little bit about you, a way to get in touch with you. And also like you want to make sure your newsletter is like somewhere. You don't have to set it up like in a complicated way that's like integrated with your website. You can just like have a tab in your menu that says mailing list that goes to the landing page that like MailerLite provides you, or MailChimp or something. So you don't need to make it complicated. Just as long as those like parts are there, your book info, your a bit more about you, your mailing list, a way to get in touch with you, and like social media links, I think that's a good place to start with.
And so like once you've got, the simplest version of a mailing list page, and you've got your book info and you've got your basic website, like what is the next step? Like if an author was going to like throw some time and energy at sorting out their website, or perhaps perhaps they've released their first book and, now we're at sort of book maybe 3 or 4, like what should they be doing with their websites to maximize their usefulness like in their business?
For authors that are ready to spend the time on their website, I'd say the first thing to really look at is how mobile friendly your website is, because I think that is like super important. Like 50% of your like visitors are going to be on their phone, so make sure that it works well. Spend the time to like make sure there's no like overlapping boxes or text that is like off the screen or things like that. Also, like if you have like pop-ups, make sure they're clickable, like on mobile, in case sometimes like you won't be able to exit and it's really annoying because you can't get to the information.
I've had that problem before in an older version of
yeah.
one of them, and I was like, I don't know how to fix this. Yeah, it was very painful.
Yeah. And then after that, say make sure your branding is coherent, like for a minimum viable like website. Like if you have like a landing page from like MailerLite or like BookFunnel or something, like you can do it, but like once you're ready to get into your own website, like then I'd say try to make everything the same everywhere. So instead of having a landing page on BookFunnel, maybe have it on your own website so that the reader feels like they are still like on your own like content. So there's kind of like a flow that like you're still within that ecosystem. And then I'd say try to like have as much information on your book as possible, like as many links as you can get put on your own website. Make sure to like redirect readers to the right places. Your newsletter can be like a lot more highlighted, like prominent, like at the top of the page. Make sure that's like really obvious, like spend time to kind of optimize it. Also making sure that you have quite a fast loading website. If you have like a 3,000 pixel cover that is showing in this like mini spot, it will take so long to load. So just make sure that the size of your images are like proportional to what they're displaying so that your website loads faster. And then adding things like Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel, like track your users, know where they're going, be able to like retarget them and things like that. So yeah, I think that's what people who are spending their time on their website should be doing.
It's like hearing you talk, I'm like, it has taken me so many years to learn like some of these things, and even like the Facebook pixel, I know I have it on my website, but so I know it's like in my Facebook ads manager, but like, have I used it? No, I haven't. And it's been there for like literally probably like 6 or 7 years. So I probably have a gigantic audience now to like be able to retarget.
Great. Yeah, like it's good to do it early, because then you have that information if you want to use it. Because if you want to like suddenly start doing Facebook ads and you have like nothing, then you'll be like, oh, okay, like I can't do this right now. But if you put it like right now, and then in 3 years you want to use it, then you have all that information. So
yeah, absolutely. I think for me personally, I always have like a mindset block when it comes to tech. I find it incredibly difficult and then like really rewarding afterwards. So like I recently changed the theme on, because I have like a WordPress site, and I changed the theme, and it took out an entire week, a full working week to like get everything changed, to make sure it all synced up properly, to make sure the images weren't squiffy. And then of course, like the moment I finished, something vanished off the front page, and I was like, I don't understand where it's gone. And like, you know, like, and there's so many different things, you know, and there are like it like, if you want to do it well, there are lots of aspects to it, and it's a different language as well, you know, like your pop-up banner, and then it's not just creating the pop-up banner, it's the imagery, and you know, making sure that it's all on brand, and then it's the copy. So like making sure that your wording is attractive and appealing to encourage people to jump on your mailing list. Okay, and so like in thinking about all of those different things, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see writers making with their websites?
I'd say like there's kind of like 2 types of mistakes that people make. The first one is that their website is like kind of hard to use. So again, like those pop-ups that aren't clickable, like not mobile friendly, just kind of hard to navigate. Like you'll try to open the menu and maybe it won't work or something like that. So like as an author, like you can just go through your website and make sure that everything is clickable, or like there'll be like links that don't lead to anywhere. Like something you can do about that too is have somebody that knows you just like sit them at the computer in front of your website and tell them like this is your goal, and like let them do it and then see like what they do. Like if they click somewhere that they shouldn't have clicked, then maybe there's some confusion there. So like you need to kind of maybe rethink a bit like your layout and such. And then the second thing is that in terms of content, authors won't necessarily have like kind of money making content on their website. So they'll display like maybe their blog about like kind of maybe more their personal life, like up at the top, when really it should be like their books, because that's what readers are coming to your website to see. Like so just kind of take a look at you know, what your goals are with your website. Is your goal to kind of become like your readers' friends, or is it more to actually sell them like your books and such? So like or maybe it's like your newsletter is more important to you. So make sure that that content is at the top, and that you have like kind of the relevant information in the right places. It's not like overloaded with things that aren't necessarily as important, or like keep those for like another page other than the homepage maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many authors find it hard to sell themselves, and that like permeates through every aspect of their life, from like finding it hard to talk about your books to actually putting your books front and center on your website, and like all of these things. I don't know what it is. I think I don't know. I think over the years we've been taught, I say that in air quotes, that, you know, selling ourselves or you know, things that we have created, it is wrong in some way. I don't know. It's bullshit. Like everybody should be able to sell themselves. You know, we're proud of the things that we've created. It took a long bloody time, a lot of sweat and tears to do it. So we should be proud.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, we've talked about a lot of things with a lot of terminology. So are there any simple things that authors can do to improve their website analytics?
When it comes to like analytics, like if we mean in terms of like page views and things like that, like getting traffic to your website, I think that the most important thing to figure out is what your goal is with your website. Really, like, you know, your website is not there to like just be there. Like it should have a goal. If it doesn't have a goal, then like it's not really doing anything for you. So like, yeah, figure out what your goal is and how to get your readers to do that. So like your goal is to sell books. So let's say like if you look suddenly at your analytics and then you see that people come to your website, stay for like 30 seconds and leave, it might not look good compared to like other websites. But if they come to your website, stay for 30 seconds, click on Amazon and go buy your book, that is absolutely fine. That is a great thing to happen. So yeah, make sure that like you know what you want your readers to do when they come to your website, because I believe that for author websites, they're useful not to attract new readers, but they're useful to turn a one-time reader into lifetime fans. So somebody will have like read your book and then they'll like type your name, find your website, and then your goal is to keep that person like in your ecosystem. So like kind of consider that they know a little bit about you already. They just want to like get your next book or like, you know, see what your next series is, or yeah, jump on your newsletter to hear about when your next book is going to be released. So they want to like, yeah, just kind of know more about you and make sure you know what that's going to be or like what you want to highlight. And yeah, kind of like focus on that. And then that should really help.
Fantastic. And I think one of the words that gets thrown around a lot these days is SEO. And I don't know, like if you've hung around the internet, you know that SEO is a thing we should know about. But like, does it really matter? Like, should authors care about it? Like, why should we care about it? What do we need to do about it? Yeah, like talk to me about SEO.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, because I do believe that authors don't need to worry about SEO as much as they think they do. I think for SEO okay, I will start that SEO is search engine optimization. So it's your ability to be like found in Google or like Bing or whatever search engine people are using. So like you want these platforms to be able to like pop up your website when it's relevant. So like that's what optimizing your website for search engine means. But yeah, I believe that it's not as important for fiction authors. I believe it is important for nonfiction authors, because for nonfiction authors, you're answering kind of questions like in your book and such, or like educating on a topic and things like that. And having like a website that is optimized for that topic means that maybe people like come to your blog, kind of get an answer to like a question that they have. And then if they want to know more, then they can buy your book. If you're a fiction author, most likely you're not getting the same kind of like traffic to your website. It's more people who've already read your book coming to your website after kind of, yeah, like knowing you a little bit. So for those people, like for fiction author, I think the only thing that you really need to like rank for on search engines is really like your author name and your book titles. So you don't need to really optimize your website that much in terms of that. It will be pretty like obvious to Google that like if you have a website called like, you know, your URL is your pen name, then like when somebody types that pen name, like your website is going to be like the most relevant. So as long as you keep things like as long as your website is useful to your readers, like if they show up, like if it loads fast, if it's mobile friendly, if it has the right content in the right place, Google will like figure out that you are very relevant. So really like Google kind of knows if their people are happy, like if their users are happy. And so like if you try to kind of like hack the system, like they will know, they will smell the bullshit and they will penalize you for it. So just try to be like as useful to your readers as possible, and you will eventually rank in Google. Like it will happen naturally.
And like I love that, because I have always worried that I should be doing stuff for fiction or should be doing more like on the technical side for the fiction. So that is quite a reassurance. I'd never really thought about it in terms of like usefulness to the reader. But I suppose on that train of thought, I think there is a general awareness that if you're a nonfiction author, then you are producing content marketing is the way forward. But like,
yeah,
should fiction authors be putting content on their website? And if they should, what kind of content should they be putting out? do they just not need to worry about any content at all? Yeah, I don't know, like.
Personally, I don't believe that fiction authors need a blog. Like, I don't think you need to, like, some people will say that like blogging is good because your website keeps having kind of fresh content on it, but like fresh content is not as important as high quality content. So if you're just going to put a post about like how it was your cat's birthday last week, like that's not going to be useful for SEO or something like that. If like you like blogging and that's something that really like makes you happy, like absolutely keep doing it. But if you're doing it just for SEO because somebody told you you had to do it, I think your time is better spent doing something else. Like updating your homepage is kind of like fresh content. So like you don't need a blog to do that. And really like the more useful your website is to your readers, then like you don't really need to keep a blog. Like if you have blogs that answer questions, like those are relevant. Like, if you write nonfiction, then you can be like, how to make my marriage better or something like that is answering a question. But if your blog is more like a news, like something that's happened recently, like a new book release, like maybe that's more better on like social media or your newsletter than your blog itself. It won't necessarily help with your SEO.
Yeah, I think there will be a collective sigh of relief from a lot of fiction authors listening to this. Like you're giving them permission to just focus on,
absolutely.
like the book, not anything else around it, which I think is fantastic. All right, so like one last question then. What elements of branding do you think an author should consider when they set up their website?
When it comes to branding, I would probably start with like making sure you have some kind of logo. It doesn't need to be very like fancy or anything. Like there are like so many free fonts on the internet. You can just have like a text logo that is just recognizable kind of across your branding. So like your newsletter, your website, like your inside of your book cover, like inside of your book, if you want. But yeah, so you can also hire like somebody to do that for you. But yeah, just kind of getting like some kind of logo branding. And then after that, there are like kind of two things to think about together for website. It's like colors and fonts. Those are usually the things that will turn a website from like kind of boring to like really awesome looking and like branded and things like that. So yeah, like for fonts, I think it really depends on your book genres. You can get quite a bit of kind of info from maybe like your covers and such. Like if you hire like a cover designer, like, take the time to look at what they put on your cover and maybe reuse some of those fonts or styles of fonts like on your own website. I think keeping it kind of like neutral on your website is better, like let your book covers shine kind of. So if you have like really cursive fonts on your covers, you don't need to have those all over your website. You can have more simple fonts, just like your covers shine basically. For colors, kind of the same purpose applies a little bit. Like I like to do kind of more neutral colors. So again, like your book covers are really the ones shining. But yeah, based on like your branding, like maybe your logo, maybe if you hired like a designer, that person will give you kind of a color palette. Then you can reuse those on your website. And yeah, I just recommend like not using too bright colors because sometimes they can really be intense on the computer. It looks great on like a mini logo, but when it comes to like your whole screen, it looks like a little bit like boom in your face or something. So just kind of like have nice neutral colors that really highlight your greatest assets, which are like your book covers. And yeah, also I wanted to mention that like this is something that I help my clients with, like at Novelly. If they don't know what colors they want or fonts they want, like I will pick them for them. And if they don't like it, then we'll change them and such. But I do help them find like a palette that they're happy with. So
I love that. I think that's awesome. I absolutely love branding. So and even like, and obviously podcast listeners won't be able to see, but for Ginny, like she can see how much purple is in my office. So like, obviously that, like I am purple and black to my core. All right, this is the Rebel Author podcast. So tell everyone about a time you unleashed your inner rebel.
I say, yeah, the time that I was the most rebel in my life is really when I decided to like start traveling full time instead of like taking a full-time job. That was not what my parents expected. They probably thought I would be back within like 6 months or something and then get a job then. And then instead I ended up traveling for 6 years and started my own business. So yeah,
I love
that
that.
was a different path.
6 years is a long
Yeah.
time. Did you go home at all in
Yeah.
those 6 years?
We did actually. We would I think first like 2-3 years we were kind of like always gone. Maybe came back for like a couple weeks at the max. But for the like last 3 years maybe we came back. My boyfriend is from like one place, Saskatchewan, in Canada, so we would spend like a little bit of time there, helping. They have a farm, so we helped on the farm, and then we'd go visit my family for a couple months, and then we go traveling again. So we did the summers here in Canada, and then the winters away because we can't handle Canadian winters anymore.
Oh, that's amazing. I am inspired and awed and tiny little bit jealous about all the travel. It's amazing. All right. Well, tell everyone where they can find out more about you and your services, because like, I don't know about listeners, but I am like, my brain is blowing from all of the amazing things that you've told me. So I know people are going to want to come and find out about your service.
Yeah, so you can find me at novelly.co. The .co is on purpose, so just .co. Yeah, and really like all my stuff is there. You'll be able to see like some websites that I've done previously. Like I've not mentioned that yet, but we do en genres. Like I've done some like kind of thriller sites, some like romance sites, some fantasy sites. Like it works for basically everything. Also, I don't require a payment until you're 100% happy with the site. So even if you just want to try it, if you're not sure I can do it, like I'm pretty sure I can do it, but you can like not have to pay me until you're absolutely sure I can do it. Yeah, and if you have any questions, just like send me an email via like my contact form that I have on the website, and I'll be happy to like answer all your questions.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Of course, a gigantic thank you to all of the show's patrons. If you would like to get early access to all of the episodes, then you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Sacha Black. And of course, thank you to everybody listening. I'm Sacha Black. You are listening to Ginnie Carmichael, and this was the Rebel Author Podcast. Week I am joined by Inez Johnson, and it is such a fun interview, and we're talking all about how to build yourself a 6-figure business, author business I should say. I loved talking to Inez, and I hope you guys join me next week for that. Don't forget to tune in and subscribe on your podcatcher, and when you have a moment, please leave a review.